Guys, well played. Mark, huge win, big goal in a season that hasn't been short on Mark Cucurella goals. Just tell us the feeling then as the ball smacks off your forehead and you know it's goalward bound.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I think the team deserves this moment. It's true that we suffer a little bit. I think we don't start well the game, and then we lose a bit of confidence. But then we know that we need to stay in the game, and we have the chance to score a goal, and I'm very happy. Thank you too, my friend.
Reece, when Mark walked in, you said match winner, but you provided the cross. When did you know that you're in business? Your little turn, cross, when did you think, OK, we've got this?
No, I knew that I had space and time. I just put it in an area. I knew if I put the ball in this area, this man is always arriving. So no, I'm happy that we both helped contribute with the win today.
So honestly, you expected that Mark might be the one to get on the end of it?
Yeah, for sure. I had with my eyes closed.
Is he telling the truth, Mark?
I don't know. No, but yeah, I think this goal is because we train a lot of times in training. We know, like, if everyone do that, we are training in every day, so we can score. And I think we know that he need to put the ball there, and I know that I need to arrive in this position. So I think it's a goal that we are working during this week.
Yeah, it is like a really satisfying goal, isn't it, when it's fullback to fullback? What is it in whether it's today's game, as Mark says, the work you do in training, the manager, the system that allows that kind of thing to happen?
Well, I think we've been working the whole season. The messages have been clear from the start. Executing them at times has been hard. Today, what we're trying to do, probably paid off, and it looks good. But this is what we do day in, day out. The game was tough. They came here, they went man for man. The first half was super tough. It was quite unexpected. But we was we stayed in the game, and we knew we need to come out and score. Thankfully we done that.
And while we're discussing moments of quality, how well did you catch that one first half? Did you think it was in? Just needed maybe a little bit more cut or whatever on it?
Yeah, it was close. I knew there was a man there, and I needed to get around him, and he was quite wide, so I knew it was going to be tough.
And how's the ankle? That looked nasty first half.
No, it was tough. It was sore when it happened, but I completed the full game.
Yeah. Are you getting more and more confident in your body right now? You've had a run. I know you're not starting every game, but you are having a run where you're there or thereabouts every week.
Yeah, no, I feel confident. It's the most I played in a few seasons. I'm happy to help the team, as much as I have this season, and I hope it can continue and we finish off in the right way.
Yeah, one more to go, Mark, plus a cup final. How big a win was that?
Yeah, it was very important. I think we have been working for these moments all the season. I think we have 2 more games left. Depends on everything, so we need to push hard last weeks, give the last effort, because I think we deserve moments like today, and we need to finish the season strong.
And lastly, for you, Reece, because you're captain of the team, you've seen previous Chelsea teams develop and go on and actually win the Champions League. So how big an achievement do you think it would be for this pretty young Chelsea side to make the Champions League?
No, I think this is where the club belongs. In the Champions League. Competing in the best competitions. I have no doubt. A lot of people like to write us off and call us young and inexperienced. But we played against a very experienced United team today. With a lot of senior players. And we was there. We won the game. It probably wasn't our best game on the ball, but we got what we needed to do, and we walk away with the 3 points.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done, guys.
Mark Cucurella, the match winner tonight. It's his 5th Premier League goal of the season. No defender has scored more goals than him. He's level with Manchester City's Josko Gvardiol. He has 7 in all competitions. Tonight he was a match winner. It's the 2nd time a goal that he has scored in the Premier League this season has been a match winner. It's remarkable. Reminded there, Glenn, fullback to fullback. What a combination.
Yeah, it's sweet when that happens. I think the manager will be pleased with it. As you said, they work a little bit on that in training as well. But it was for me, it was the quality of the goal. I mean, they didn't speak too much about his pirouette, his little turn. But that surprised everyone. We were watching it, Tim. We were, wow, what did he do there? And then suddenly, to finish it off with a beautifully timed cross, and the header was like a centre forward. Cucurella's come in and he's gone right through the line of the ball, like any good centre forward would do. This is lovely. Look, it's a lovely change of play. And he just said there, Reece, he said, I was in open space, I had a bit of time, bit of space to think, look at that turn, that's beautiful. And that little dink ball, say, sunny side up, go and put your head on that, someone. And he does. he does so. He just that little sort of dink. There's the ball back there. Look, they're marked up there nicely. They've got 3v3. Yeah. They're all up against players. It was just the fact that Lindelof just comes across on Palmer. Rightly so, he has to. And that just allowed that 2v1 on the back post. But that little dink ball was wonderful. And Cucurella as a number 9. Who needs a number 9 when you've got Cucurella?
Great finish.
Fabulous.
I just think when they're shaped up, the defenders, they're very unlucky because they don't expect that little bit of skill. When Reece first shapes up, he shapes up to bend it towards the goalkeeper, Anana, and they're in a good position for that. But then then he does the pirouette, and then they're in a poor position. They're vulnerable because there's a lot of space for him to dink that in behind them, and it's a great leap. Fantastic timing, gives Anana absolutely no chance.
Yeah, Pedro Neto also involved. He was the one who found James. It's the first time he's been on the winning side against Manchester United, and what a win it was for Chelsea in this race for top 5. Let's take a look at the state of play in that Champions League chase in the Premier League. The Optus supercomputer has given these percentage chances, right? So it's 99.8% for Arsenal to qualify, 92.6% for Newcastle, 60% chance of Chelsea qualifying for top 5, 49.1% for Aston Villa, and 87.3% for Manchester City. The lowest is Nottingham Forest, who have dropped to 7th position. Not much breathing room between those sides. 2nd on 68 points, 7th on 62. It is making for a fantastic last 2 weeks of the season.
I think we can rule out Forest. Sadly, my opinion, I just think they've done a fantastic job to already have qualified for European football. But it won't be Champions League, in my opinion. I think City will finish 3rd or 4th. They'll be in there. Newcastle have done enough. And it's just a shootout between Chelsea, who've got to go to the City ground, which will be a difficult game. And I think Villa will get the job done against Manchester United. But it won't be easy, as we saw there. It wasn't easy for Chelsea tonight. You know, so it all depends what happens in that Europa League Cup final, what the mood is like, how much celebration they've been doing, if they indeed win that cup. So there's a lot in the balance. I've seen that graphic so many times, I keep changing my mind. So.
I know you do. Isn't it the same story for City, though? Because although they have a cup final, we saw them drawing with Southampton last time out. Anything could happen on the back of the cup final.
It shows you the strength of the Premier League, doesn't it? When Southampton, get a draw against Man City, when City are going for everything and Southampton are out of it, they know they're down and in the Championship. Just looking at that fixture again now, I wouldn't count Forest out yet. You never know what you're going to get with West Ham. Forest could go to West Ham and get a result there. And if they get that result, then they're at home. And that place they get rocking against Chelsea. And Chelsea have not been great away from home. Yeah. They've done great at home, Chelsea. Away from home, they're a little bit of a soft belly at the moment. So I wouldn't cast them 100% out. And it's going to go to the wire. It really is. I think, goal difference is going to play a big part in this. I really do.
Oh, no.
Goal, Jamie.
Yeah, there certainly was. I think when you want players on the ball, and we talk about how the modern game evolves and fullbacks getting high up the pitch, that's exactly what they did. And it was so important when they were involved in this, Roy.
Yeah, and obviously a nice switch of play here, and United are under a lot of pressure. Strange enough, James doesn't get a great ball here from Neto. He makes him stretch for it and brings him onto his left foot. Garnacho's got to do a lot better, but once he gets in that position and stands it up, brilliant header, brilliant finish, but once James gets in that position, the quality, the weight. Some people might try to whip it out, but that decision making, and obviously you need people attacking it. So a really excellent goal from Chelsea's point of view.
Cucurella makes it, Jamie.
That's why we've highlighted him. He's involved there, and also like what Moises Caicedo does there. He passes that ball out to the first side there. Then he receives it again. You can see he wants it. He changes the point of the attack. Now all of a sudden he gives Manchester United a problem. They've got to readjust, and you can see the defence is now. And Cucurella's found himself in a really good position. Cole Palmer's with him. He has to pirouette here, obviously, Reece James. Now, look, you've got Cucurella's found himself with that gap just behind Lindelof. The delivery is wonderful, and so is the header. It's like Drogba, Diego Costa type. It's really good. But this piece of play, Garnacho doesn't do well enough. Really poor defender from his point of view. But then the quality, can you just lift it up into the right area? Cucurella arrives, eyes on the ball. Brilliant header.
Do you think when someone like Cucurella, someone of his stature, sneaks in between Mazraoui and Lindelof, that they don't pay as much attention to him because of his...
I think they just switched off when they saw James eventually when he had his back to goal. But when he's turned, it was as if they were on their heels. They probably thought Garnacho was going to do a little bit better. But once he gets turns and puts it in there, they are on their heels. And it's a bit of quality. And again, sometimes it doesn't have to be a great cross or a bad cross and cause you problems, but this just gives you every chance. It just stands it up nicely. It's just the right weight. And when it left his foot, we're watching here, you're looking, going, United are in trouble. Just the way that it left his foot, you're going, there's trouble here. No, we still got to finish it. And he finishes like a striker, hell of a header. And but the quality from James there. But poor from United again, just off it, not aggressive enough at the right times. And Chelsea pressed them. I thought Chelsea showed a lot of maturity in the second half, considering it was a big night for it. They were a bit, obviously nervous. They knew the other score, but they kept the composure. And there was always going to be one goal in it, because United obviously don't score many. And once they got that goal, then it was game over, really.
He's ended up being a great signing, Cucurella, because I think when he came from Brighton, the fee was expensive, like 58 million or something like that for a left back. I think had Chilwell, players like that here. Maybe just thinking, is he going to fit in? He struggled. I think it's a great example of patience with players, even if they do cost a lot of money, because you sometimes think they're going to come in, hit the ground running. It was the same with Caicedo. You look at Caicedo now, he looks a world-class player. When he first come and the team was struggling, devoid of any confidence, it was very difficult for him. But the left-back, Cucurella, I thought was magnificent. He's aggressive. I think the Euros obviously helped him winning that, gave him that little bit of...
growing that, didn't you?
Yeah, he's got that bit of nastiness about him.
But it's also difficult for players to come in, Jimmy, when there's lots of new players coming. They won't... Even United, players going to United at the moment, they're not going into settled teams. So it does have to be that element that give a player 6, 12 months, even longer to settle into a new team, particularly when there's high expectations. Yeah. And some of these Chelsea players now, who heavily criticised them, some rightly so sometimes, they're now showing their quality and look a lot more settled.
You saw the celebrations. Do you think they have a sense that the job is done now?
Chelsea? No, I don't think so. I just think it was a relief that they're obviously they're in the driving seat and they've got a game to go in terms of the league. I know they've got a European game. But again, if you gave them that at the start of the season, they have to go and win their last game, I think they would have took it, because particularly with a young, inexperienced group, which they showed in the first half. There was a couple of times I thought they should have put balls in, they didn't. So they kind of seemed to cop onto that the second half. I think they would have took that. I think they would have had to took that to get in the Champions League with a young group, a new manager trying to settle in. Again, 1 or 2 injury problems. They'll be delighted with that. And they showed a bit of character tonight. We go back to football tonight. There wasn't much goal mode action, but that's where you just show a little bit of desire and a bit of quality to get over the line. And that's why they were so relieved at the end.
Absolutely, but it's made it beautiful now. When you look at that, it puts pressure on Manchester City. They've got to get a result against Bournemouth on Tuesday. Nottingham Forest have got to beat West Ham, and if they do, they know they've got
to get 65.
They get a big playoff against Chelsea. I mean, if you were to look at those fixtures right now, I don't know about you, Roy, but I think obviously we don't know what's going to happen next week with Manchester United, but I think I'd rather go to United away than Forest away last day of the season. So it's still...
Might Arsenal even be sweating?
God, now you're taking it to another level now.
If Newcastle were to win there on Sunday.
But it's a big game now, yeah.
But you'd like to fancy yourself, at Southampton.
Could you see Manchester City missing out, Roy?
No, you just think with Pep there and the quality they've got, they're used to the scenario. You think should be able to deal with it. Obviously, Forest will be kicking themselves for the last month or two. But yeah, wouldn't it be amazing if Newcastle go and win at Arsenal? And yeah, it is exciting this last week or two with the Champions League places.
Let's just clear up a couple of the incidents that we saw in the second half here at Stamford Bridge before we move on. First of all, a penalty awarded on the field. And it was a young Tyreek George who looked at first glance that had been brought down by Andre Onana. Roy, what was your reading of this situation?
Well, I thought it was a great run from the kid. And I think he could have been smarter if he just knocks it a bit wider and then falls into the goalkeeper. But of course, he gets a touch on the ball and the right decision. We got the right decision. But I think the young kid could have been a little bit smarter. If he had a bit more experience, I think it would have knocked it wide from him and he made contact with the goalkeeper. He knows there, look, the young kid did. He looks even guilty there, doesn't he?
Did he have a bit of a tough night?
It was difficult he's not a striker. He's played all his career as a young academy player, as a wide player. All the time he's playing against 3 experienced centre-backs. He was trying to run the line. That was a good piece of movement, as Roy said. It was a tough night for him. It wasn't ever going to be easy, especially when you're making your full debut. You want to really play in your best position, but you don't care. You just want to be out there. But the other thing I'll say about that one, I don't know why Onana's going.
Well, that was going to be my next question.
What is he doing there?
If that happens again on Wednesday night and it's a Tell or a Son charging through, do you want to see a goalkeeper go?
I mean, just stay in your goal.
He'll argue. Obviously, made the right decision. But I think a smarter player with a bit more experience would have knocked it a bit wider and fallen into the goalkeeper. So he was a little bit lucky. Listen, he's done that previous. But we got to the right decision. But still, don't give him a chance. Again, mind your own business. Why is he coming out there? Exactly. He just gets a touch of it. So he'll argue all day if it's the right decision.
6 yellow cards as well for Manchester United tonight. I understand that means a £25,000 fine for 6 yellow cards in one game. Might one actually have been a red, Jamie? Aidan Heaven late on.
He's lucky. He's really... I think the fact that the game was just almost just dead at the time, but he lunges in. When you think about some of the tackles, the current climate of what constitutes a red and what doesn't, you can see there, that's late, it's over the top. Yeah, he's really fortunate, but I just think the way the game was winning 1-0, I just don't think it was...
Were they actually both at it a little bit there?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, you're going for the ball. It's an important stage of the game. But if he was sent off, you wouldn't be arguing his case, would you?
No, exactly
If
that.
he was sent off, you'd be saying, yeah. But
Exactly.
very lucky.
Well, Ruben, unfortunately, does that just feel really familiar? Lots of good moments, lots of chances, more possession than Chelsea, but ultimately undone in a moment.
Yeah, it was the good things that we talk about before the game. We had some moments. We are improving the way we play football. We could press quite well, and we had some chances. But then one situation, and you can feel it, the same mistake that we suffered a goal, and then almost in the next play we open our defense for the second opportunity. So we are building something, but in the end you need to win games, and we have that lack of aggression in the final third. You can feel it, but we are improving.
So that urgency you wanted last week, particularly in the boxes, lacking again today?
Not so much. It was not so clear. We have our situations. We cross the ball. We have the second balls. So we were quite aggressive today. We need to be more aggressive because you can feel it that we have good build up until the last third, and then we miss something. But we need to work on that, but I think we faced the competition in the right way today. We were competitive.
Sorry, is that an issue for the team? Just looking at the squad, you even look at the team on paper and you think it's one that's going to struggle to score goals. Is that something, when you talked last week about needing to be brave in the summer, is that the area, attacking areas? Do you need to add more goals to this team?
We'll not talk about the summer. The good thing is that in the Europa League we are scoring many goals. So now we are going to prepare the game for Europa League. Of course, we have to deal with a lot of things during the summer. But again, today we was a really good game to prepare also the final. Because if we put some players out and the feeling of the last game is there, almost 10 days without playing, for me, I think would be a mistake. So I think was a good thing for them to play, to feel that they can do it. We can control the game. We can have possession. We can push the opponent. All these small things, I know for sure that the players are feeling in this moment. But in the end, in this club, in any club, you need to win, and we are not winning games.
Congratulations to them because they play very well, but I was completely confident because overall it was a game, that I had the feeling that we could have a good moment and score the goal.
What is it about their setup, tactical approach, whatever, that makes them tough to play against? As you say, a number of top teams have found them quite challenging to get through.
I used to watch 5, 6, 7 games every time we play against a team. I watched them, and to be honest, I never watched them so aggressive. They were man-to-man, so for us it was very difficult. So again, congratulations to them because they played a very good game. But overall, I think between first half and second half, we deserve to win the game.
So do you give your team credit? It's quite a young side. You've got actually the youngest starting 11 in the whole Premier League, for just staying patient in what's a really pressurised, high-stakes situation.
Yeah, stay patient, work hard, because off the ball I think we play fantastic game. Unless I think the first 10 minutes that we needed to adjust things, the rest I think the team was very aggressive until the end. We tried to press higher, and yeah, again I think we deserve to win the game.
Great to see a goal when it's fullback to fullback. The boys were in here, I don't know, 5 minutes ago, whatever, talking about how it's something that you work on the training pitch.
Yeah. We work. It's nice when you work some solution and then you are able to score. I think Cucurella already scored this season the same goal against the Wolves, against Brentford. He already scored many goals this season.
Yeah, I think he's on 7 for the season, 5 in the Premier League. So that's a great return you've got out of him. What's that down to?
No, nothing. It's just about the player. That is a good player, a very good player. I said many times that it's about timing. It's about to be in the right position, the right moment. No matter if you are tall, if you are small. And Cucu is very intelligent, very clever, and he's at the right position at the right moment.
So I know you've said it's a good season, whatever happens. But how big would it be for this team, Enzo, at this stage of its development, to see this through, make Champions League, and obviously hopefully win a competition as well?
Yeah, but for me personally, the problem is that in general, people, you, press, you still think that Chelsea is the same Chelsea that years ago. It's not the same. I can understand that people struggle to understand that. But once again, tonight, Jackson was suspended. We play with Eric, 06 from the academy. And I said many times, years ago, I don't know, Drogba was injury, probably Diego Costa play, or Fernando Torres. This is completely different Chelsea. I can understand that people struggle to see that, but we are in the right direction. Hopefully we can bring the club where the club deserves to be, that is Champions League. We're going to try our best, and hopefully we can finish well.
Do you think also that the supporters expect old Chelsea, if that's the right way of putting it? And also, let's be honest, the club spent a lot of money and still spends a lot of money. And that's probably where the expectation comes from.
Yeah, for sure, yes. I don't think since I'm here that we are spending more money than other club. I think at least we are spending the same money. But it's just about building something. We are building something important. People have to trust us because we are in the right direction. The club is working well. And as I said, hopefully in the future we can also fight for important titles.
Well done tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Enzo.
But how important, Roy, do you think this is for their progress, Chelsea, Champions League football?
Huge. Obviously, feel-good factor, confidence for the players. And then it's when you come back pre-season, the fixture come out and you see you're in the proper league with the Champions League and the games come up and the fixtures, the sponsors, the brand of the club and the belief in the players. When you're trying to, he said there, they're trying to build something. And he's given Man United credit saying, oh, they played really well. Man United one shot on target. So you always felt if they got the first goal tonight, Chelsea would win it. But huge in terms of rebuilding the club. A lot of money was invested in a lot of young players, a lot of long-term contracts given out. And from to get in the Champions League, it'd be a...
Different phone calls with players as well, Roy.
Yeah, of course, attracting players. It's the whole package.
Do you think it changes then the type of player that they target? Because as we know, they've been targeting the best young players in world football. Does this almost accelerate the project to the next level if they do make Champions League?
I think it certainly helps. I think there'll be some players that might just look at, even if Man United don't make Champions League, people still go to Manchester United because of the club and the enormity of it. So it doesn't always work like that. But there will be forwards that they're probably trying to get just to give a little bit of help to Jackson and maybe defenders that are probably just watching it carefully and thinking it can tip it certainly your way if you get Champions League football. You know, I think players now want to play. They hear the music. They want to be out there. They want to pit themselves against the best. And if Chelsea were to get there, it certainly makes it an easier conversation during negotiations.
Would you be tempted to change the age profile?
I think, I think you'd always try to add one or two experienced players to your group. I know the policy is trying to buy young players and obviously give them long-term contracts. And I always feel in the group, now if they slipped up and they'd missed out, you'd be going, they definitely need one or two experienced players. But if they get over the line in the next game and they do well in Europe, you're thinking, well, obviously the policy seems to be working. But you always feel over the course of the last few months, there was moments where they did lack maybe that experience, particularly in important positions like maybe a centre-half, just to help out along the way. But obviously what they're doing at the moment, they're getting their reward, particularly if they do get in that Champions League.
You're right, what is right, but they're going to get experience from this, whatever happens. You know, I look at Moises Caicedo. He's not necessarily an old player, but he's got plenty of football experience. You know, Cucurella's won the Euros. Levi Cole looks like he's getting more and more experience. I think the keeper is a situation where they'll need to address, certainly to challenge or maybe even bring in a number one. It's never easy having a big decision like that, but I think it's one they have to do. They need someone that's going to challenge Jackson up front. I think people like Gyökeres, João Pedro are being mentioned, Ekitike. There's lots out there. Well, no, I'll take that back. There's not that many out there.
A lot of clubs are after.
A lot of clubs are after the same players. You know, Delap's had a mention as well. So it's not going to be easy. So everyone's going to be looking. Manchester United probably looking for a striker. Arsenal looking for a striker. They're getting linked.
They all want to play as well, all these strikers, don't
they? Exactly. But that's where I think you do look at Chelsea, and if they're in the Champions League, it makes it a lot easier for them. And the proposition is there. The club is going the right way. Lots of young players. I think if anything, like getting players in, but there's also one or two maybe that they might need to move on and balance the books in some kind of capacity, and then just make sure you bring adds extra quality just to make sure that they certainly get Champions League, and how quickly then you can start to challenge.
Yeah, and if they're trying to challenge, you can't have a young kid, starting a game. You need better than that. But also where the experience comes in is was it 3 or 4 weeks ago where the fans were kind of booing him here because of the goalkeeper they were playing. That's where you need a couple of lads to say, just keep the heads. Yeah. That's where you pass it on to the young players. Of course, you're always looking for quality, and they're after a top striker. But I just think certain players who will just calm everyone down in certain situations. Having said that, they coped really well tonight in the second half with the expectations and the way they dealt with it, particularly in the last 10 or 15 minutes, the way the pressure United, their time and when to do it, was a very kind of mature performance.
Beaten tonight, but they're hoping they're all going to be fit and ready and firing, full of goals on Wednesday night. Is this the biggest problem for this Manchester United squad right now?
Yeah, it's the same interview that we've heard from the manager. He's obviously frustrated.
It's very difficult for him to
keep
answering those same questions.
Absolutely, I'm not knocking him for that. I'm just making a point about it. We've heard it all before. They don't score enough goals. He talked about aggression. They've had one shot on target. No goal tonight, no goal against West Ham. He's talking about, obviously, Europe, but this was a league game. You've got to focus on the league, what we're talking about. Talks about what they can do in the final third, but that's the most important part of football. Obviously, you've got to defend properly, and you've got to be aggressive. Like, when you look at the goal, if you want to analyse the goal, Garnacho just runs by him. James, he doesn't even tackle him, he doesn't be aggressive. So they have a problem, and they've got no striker. Hoyland tonight he looked like the young kid for Chelsea. He looked like he's just come out of the academy. His runs weren't right, his timing, his hold-up play. Again, if you're a striker for playing for Man United, you walk up, you know how to, again, even for the whole team, one shot on target. It's just...
But do you think he would be better with more quality around him?
Well, we keep making excuses for him. We talk about confidence, but you still think when you're a striker up there, you've got to make something happen sometimes. And what the big clubs have, and United have always had, are strikers who can produce something by themselves, even if they're not getting great service. They produce something because they've got quality, they've got a bit of desire, determination, a bit of experience, football intelligence. We don't see that with Hoyland. So United are up against it all the time. Obviously, he needs a little bit of support, but my goodness, sometimes you've got to just do a bit better. I think he got a ball in the first half on the edge of the box, and he didn't even know he wasn't even in the right body position to take a shot, and he knocks it back. Should be getting an on goal.
So we've talked about this this summer, and we've heard this language of being brave this summer from Maresca and Amorim. If that means a big turnover of players, how many of this Manchester United group would you have a not for sale sign on?
Well, truthfully, obviously you'd have to be realistic. You're not going to get everyone of it. People like Bruno and. Listen, it's the ones just the ones.
Bruno or.
Well, Bruno's always on who springs to mind because obviously he's a brilliant player. But of course, there's a few you have to go on to. Just talk about Garnacho. You look at Maguire. You've got new players who come into the club. They need time to settle in. Obviously, the big decision on the goalkeeper. You need a world-class striker. But it's who comes in for these players.
So would you fight to keep some of these younger ones that have been talked about? Garnacho, Kobbie Mainoo, Rasmus Højlund?
No, I wouldn't be. On them three. I wouldn't be hanging my hat on them three to get Man United. Mainoo comes on tonight. I watched him closely. He's strolling around the place. Some of his passes were sloppy. So when you're on about coming on the pitch, Garnacho is very kind of, he's immature. He plays in little moments, but he doesn't do enough. Again, we spoke before the programme. You want players for the big clubs, you turn up week in, week out. And he doesn't do that. He's got a bit of talent. He makes some good runs and he threatens him behind. And on his good day, you think, listen, I like what I see. But he's got too many bad days. And Højlund, in his defence, I think he should have probably been a backup striker, third or fourth choice, and learn his trade off 2 or 3 brilliant strikers. The fact when he came to the club that he was going to be the main man, he's not good enough. He's certainly obviously lacking in confidence and belief, and he's not surrounded by brilliance either. So there's the problems that we've spoken about United all season are still there. No, if people think they can fix that in one summer, then it's not going to happen.
But is that the kind of bravery, the brave decisions that United need to make to start moving forward?
I mean, Euro's obviously not going to be sold. He's only just come to the club. I can't disagree with Roy. I just think pretty much every single player, there is a price on all of them. I think that just tells you where they are.
Because if they win on Wednesday night, they're going to have to be playing twice a week again.
I mean, they
at a higher level.
Yeah, and they're going to have Champions League football, and right now you'd look at that and you'd probably be nervous for that squad going into Champions League football, because it's not all of a sudden going to become better overnight. It's not going to get better because they've got a bit more experience. So I think pretty much every single player, I think Jason Wilcox and all the CEO, the new CEO, they will look at it and go, if the offer's right, and then we can bring in somebody younger, better, we'll have to do it.
But what's the positives with these teams? Well, I've mentioned it before. You something watch certain teams and you hang your hat on something. You say they're really technically very good. They're fit. They're brilliant at set piece. You look at United, go, they're not really good at anything. So this idea that they can do something this summer and bring in loads of special players if they don't win next week, I think the days of everyone wanting to go to Man United, no matter where they are, I think them days are gone. I don't think there'll be players looking to go sign for Man United unless they're.
You don't think there's that extra, cachet about the club anymore?
No, that's gone. That bit of excitement with the club. I think the fans even here tonight. I don't think the United fans are angry anymore. It's just an acceptance. Even the manager's interview there, he's accepting where they are. Now, obviously, you have to be realistic, but you still want to show emotion and a bit of anger. I think United fans will be going back up the motorway to Manchester tonight, going, "No, that's what we thought would probably happen." And that's a sad.
I didn't come here today 1 second and think that Man United would win, or even Tottenham
Who
today.
did?
No one.
Well, I certainly didn't. No. And I don't think the manager did. And more importantly, I don't think the players believed they could come and win tonight. And even the Chelsea managers, he's patronised them by saying, "Oh, they played well, they pressed us, they went 1v1. Hey, they're dangerous. We watched them a few times. They beat them 1-0.
And one shot on target.
One shot target. He's just up. What they're doing to United, they're patting them on the head, going, and off you go back up to Manchester. That's what United used to do to teams years ago. Now they're getting it. And they've got to respond to that. Don't accept that nonsense.